for our content presentation. While I'm giving the presentation, the questions you should be focusing are how did the French and Indian War make the colonists ripe for change? Which British policies in the colonies led to disagreement? How did the colonial protests against British policies escalate to armed conflict? And how did individual leaders influence the course and outcome of the revolution? So, for the first part of the causes of the revolution, it was the Treaty of Paris in 1763, which ended the French and Indian War. After the French and Indian War, the colonists owed a lot of money to England because the British helped the Americans fight the war. That's one cause. Another cause was that the Americans didn't have any representation in the English Parliament. So, yes, you have a question? The question was, what is the English Parliament? The English Parliament is like Congress. It's part of the legislative branch, so it has many representatives, like our American Congress has. And in the English Parliament, we didn't have any representatives, so they could just tax us all they want, and we didn't have anybody to represent us or tell the English what we thought. There were also taxes that led to the American Revolution, and some acts that were started by King George III. These included the Proclamation Line of 1763. In the Proclamation Line of 1763, the Americans couldn't move west past the Appalachian Mountains. There was also the Stamp Act, the Townshend Acts, the Boston Massacre, the Tea Act, the Boston Tea Party, which was Americans dressing up as Native Americans and throwing tea in Boston Harbor overboard the ships into the Atlantic Ocean. And there were also the Intolerable Acts, which was the king blockading the Boston Harbor. Next were the effects of the American Revolution. The first effect was the Declaration of Independence, and that one was in 1776. And does anyone know who the Declaration of Independence was started by? Yes, you? The student says it was started by the Second Continental Congress. Yes, that's right. It was started by the Second Continental Congress. Does anyone know who wrote the Declaration of Independence? Yes, you? That's right. It was Thomas Jefferson. And what did the Declaration of Independence say? It said that it had reasons why the colonists were angry at King George III, and it had them declare their rights. And these rights included the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And what else did the Declaration have? It also had grievances in it against the king. And there were also battles after the United States, after the colonies declared war against England. And does anybody know who the general of the Americans was? Anybody? Yes, you? Yes, it was George Washington. He was the general of the American Army. And battles that went on during the American Revolutionary War included the Battle of Saratoga. And the Battle of Saratoga was known as the turning point of the war. And another battle was the Battle of Yorktown. The Battle of Yorktown was the last battle of the American Revolution, and they defeated General Cornwallis at the Battle of Yorktown, and the British retreated back to England. And the treaty that ended the American Revolutionary War was the Treaty of Paris in 1783. But this one was in 1783, not in 1763. This one ended the American Revolution, not like the French Revolution, the the French and Indian War, which was in '63. Does anybody know which battle George Washington crossed the Delaware, where he crossed the Delaware and defeated the Hessians? The Hessians were the German mercenaries. Which battle was it that he defeated the German mercenaries? Yes, it was the Battle of Trenton, and it was in 1776. Okay, and where did the Americans spend the winter in 1777, where they were starving and they needed clothing and they needed food? It was winter at Valley Forge. It wasn't a battle, but at Valley Forge, the Continental Army was trained by Baron von Steuben and the Marquis de Lafayette. And the Marquis de Lafayette was a French general. Baron von Steuben was a German soldier from Prussia who helped train the American soldiers also. And do we know important individuals that were involved in the American Revolution? Does anybody know any important individuals that were involved in the American Revolution? Yes, you. Benjamin Franklin? Yes, Benjamin Franklin was important for the American Revolution. He was important for the American Revolution because he was an ambassador to France. So he went to France and he got us supplies, and he also got us shipments of crucial munitions for the soldiers. Does anybody know anyone else that was involved in the revolution? Other people included Samuel Adams, King George, Thomas Jefferson, and Thomas Paine. There was also George Washington, Abigail Adams, Wentworth Cheswell, Mercy Otis Warren, Patrick Henry, and Crispus Attucks. So do we know? And Thomas Jefferson was responsible for writing the Declaration of Independence. Okay. And George Washington, once again, was the general of the Continental Army. He was nominated by John Adams. And John Adams helped write the Constitution. Okay. So for your activity, you'll be working in pairs, but first you'll do this quiz, and on the quiz, after you're done trying it on your own, then you'll pair up with a partner, and then you'll compare answers or discuss what you think the answer is.